Hey everybody, welcome back to my channel. I'm so excited. I am doing a little product review on this Happy Jig by We Are Memory Keepers. I saw this being demoed at the Scraptivation earlier this year and I knew I had to have it. So as soon as it landed at Aunty Vera's, she boxed it up straight away and sent it to me. So here we go. Along with the kit, which comes with 3 colors of wire, I also ordered a separate pack, which is the pink wire, of course. 5.4 meters, so 6 yards of this stuff, as well as this 2.5 yards or around 2 meters of the starter ones. So let's get into this baby. So this kit comes with its own wire cutters, 3 pieces of wire, and the board, which when you open it up here, just take that off, has all the pegs, and it also comes with a booklet. On the back here, it doesn't really have much other than a few projects and a few examples. It also says here that it works great with 3D pens, which I'm really excited about, and I wonder how I can get a hold of one, so I must do some further investigation about that. But for now, we've got some wire to play with. So I guess the first thing you have to do, guys, is read the manual. It looks like you have 2 types of pegs. No, 3 sizes of pegs, it looks like. So 3 different peg sizes, small, medium, and large. Each one has a horizontal groove to catch wire. The medium pegs with the vertical slot are starter pegs. So the medium ones, so these ones here, I guess they make it easier for you to just pop it in, like that. Whereas the larger ones, they, there's nothing to pop in, right? So you have to wrap it around the peg, and the peg has a little groove here, you know, where it catches the wire. Peg placement is represented by a number and a letter. So you've got A through to T here and 1 through to 41 here horizontally. Letters are horizontal and numbers are vertical. Choose pattern from the instruction book and place pegs into the Happy Jig according to the pattern. That seems pretty easy enough. The blue number on each instruction page represents the starter peg placement. What you just saw me do was I cut, it says here, 13 inches or 33 centimeters for just this item. Or if you wanted to turn it into a paper clip, which adds that extra little loop there, you're going to need to cut it at 15 inches. But I didn't measure out. I only measured out 13 centimeters, so I guess we're just doing this. And then it says here you're going to need 1 of the large ones. You're going to need 5 of the middle size, medium, 1, 5, and then you're going to need 9 of the little ones. 9. Okay, so for the large one you need to put it at Q21, so it's pretty easy to figure out, and it goes in nice and simple. For the medium ones it goes in at D20. Oopsies, they all jumped off, but you got to get them in, otherwise the wire is going to slip off. So D20, I21, 1, K28, M19, and so for M19 is a different color. That's the color of the paper clip, so that's not what I'm going to do, so I'm going to put that aside. And then for the N24, it's in a blue color, and that's the one where your starter one starts. So N24, like squint one eye. Okay. And then you're going to need 9 of these, geez. Alright, here we go. So that only took a minute or so. So let's get started. So it says sure that it goes in around the groove. Yeah. And then down here through this groove. So once we're done, now what I need to do is just pull this off. Does it just come straight up? Yeah, it does. Just come straight off. And I've got to somehow pull. Pull this up. And there you go. Does that look like that? Surely I could do that myself. Surely I could bend this wire. Anyway, all right, so that's that one. What I do find interesting is the fact that they give you the extra option of turning it into a paper clip. So I'm wondering if I should undo this. And so what I do end up doing is unwinding that and redoing it with the instructions for the paper clip, inserting that one peg that was meant specifically for the paper clip option. I do find that they are a little bit more generous with the measurement for the wire, so you do have a little bit of a leeway. I get to the end here and I pull it out as I did the first one, but I find that the starter slit holds onto it a little bit too tightly, and so what I do is I pop off that peg from the back. So here it is. It looks really good and it works really well as a paper clip, but because I undid the wire sort of has kinks in it, so it doesn't look too straight. So you have to be really careful with the wire and unroll it flat or a certain way so that the wire remains straight and it doesn't have kinks. I'm now totally addicted and I'm flipping over looking for another design to start. What I do is I use one of the pegs to pop out the pegs from the back, and they're shooting everywhere, so you have to be careful where they land, but that's basically the only way you can get them out. Okay, so second time round, I've chosen to do this hello. The first thing you have to do is decide whether you want to do the paperclip version or the non-paperclip version. So I'm going to go for the paperclip version. So I'm going to need 17 inches. The next thing you need to do is pick out all your pegs. So here it says you're going to need one of the large ones, and that's going at M26. M26. You're going to need 5 of the middle ones, and one of them has to be the starter. So there's the starter and then 5 other ones. So here it says that the starter, which is this one, has to go in at L11. Okay. Make sure there are kind of 2 clicks. The first click goes in quite easily, but the second click is the one that holds the peg in. Otherwise, the peg just falls straight out and you can't really work very well. H24, alrighty, and then you're going to need 7 of the little ones. So if you're using the paper clip, you're going to need 7. If it's just going to be a non-paper clip version, you're only going to need 6. So I'm going to do the paper clip, so, okay. So let's cut our wire. I'm going to go for a blue hello this time. So we're going to need 17 inches. I'm truly not a wire artist, and so you can see here that as I unrolled the wire, it twists and turns and I'm not too careful about it, so it looks a little bit not straight, and it really makes a difference in your final product. Now you definitely need both hands, so as you're winding the wire around one peg, you need to hold it down firmly and work the other hand as you help it into the groove and move it along. You have to be careful where you insert your wire, whether it goes over or under. you really have to hold the wire around the peg so that it fits and forms nicely around the peg, and you have a nice curvy loops like in the L and the E. Now the pegs were all close together here, and so too was the wire, so I could not pull this off. And so I had to push every single peg out from underneath to get the wire project off. And that kind of sucks, because if you wanted to repeat it with like a different color or to repeat it to give it to somebody else, you're going to have to go ahead and put those pegs back into place. So remember that. But other than that, I totally adore this. Look how good it looks. It works really good as a paper clip. And I must say that one of the things I love about making wire embellishments are the words. I moved on to this arrow next, and I'm just going to fast forward through all the peg placement and the wire looping because you've seen me do that. But basically it takes about a minute to set everything up, and then it takes probably another minute to measure and cut your wire and then place it around each of the pegs. I must stress once again that the way you unroll the wire and the way you place it around the pegs is really important, because once you dent the wire, you can't really undent it. When you have a look at some of the paper clips that we buy, they're so straight, they're so perfect. And I noticed that once I dented my wire, there's no way you could get it straight again. The wire is a copper wire, I think, and it's very soft and it's very pliable, and you think it's wonderful to work with, but it does not hold its shape. So for example, if you were to grab it by mistake, it will pull out of shape, and that's one thing that you have to remember. It's not an industrial paper clip that you buy that's strong and holds its shape. So I was sort of happy with the arrow. I wrapped it around itself and I liked the look. I'm now moving on to this heart. There are two ways of doing it, and I tried to emulate the first one with the tiny little one, and I didn't quite like that. And then I remembered that I'd cut my wire to make the paperclip version, so I had to undo it there and go over the extra paperclip peg. So this is where I kind of took it off, and I was quite unhappy. So We Are Memory Keepers says that the two ends just sit there and it does not sit right, it doesn't feel right. I cut the excess off, but it looks awful. I tried to twist it and it looks awful. I don't think this looks like a very good paper clip. Once you put the paper through, it doesn't really look like a heart. I really didn't like this one. I wondered if the copper wire was to blame, so I reached for this aluminum florist wire and I repeated the same thing. And what I ended up doing, I'm just showing you there that I was not happy. It didn't really look like a heart. So I ended up repeating the same thing. The aluminum wire is really much stronger. I found the aluminum wire much stronger and harder to use, but I think that it held its shape better. So I tried a few ways of changing the design that We Are Memory Keepers had, and instead of going over that top peg, I went through under. And so here we go. I end up with the same design that they recommend. So you have the two ends sitting back to back. I still don't think this looks like a paper clip when you use it. I don't like the way they designed this. So never mind. I'm just going to use it as an embellishment in an art piece instead of a paper clip. I hate the two ends that are like that, and so what I ended up doing was just holding them together with a piece of washi. And I went back and did the same with the pink heart. But I found that using the aluminum florist wire gave me a much better hold than the copper wire provided by We Are Memory Keepers. I find that with a few of these projects, I always ended up having to readjust and smooth out my kinky wire. So I next decided that perhaps I wanted to start designing my own project. So for this one, I wanted to have my name in wire, and so I tried to design it. It kind of, sort of looks like my name, kind of. I have some pliers here, and I tried to straighten it out as best I could. I did the same for my son Zaki, and I also tried to make myself a Master Chef badge, which I kind of wasn't really happy with. Once again, the kink in the wire really takes away from the project. So I think I have a lot of practice that I need to do. And I think I need to also try it with the florist aluminum wire so that it holds its shape. I'm just showing you here, I made some other designs. I did the sign for the Deathly Hallows. I tried to do a hanger, and yeah, I had a lot of fun doing this. So one thing I did want to mention was at the end of this play, my fingers were really sore, and when I woke up the next day, I couldn't message on my phone very well because I felt like my fingers were throbbing. So it took a couple of days for that sensation to go away. I think I have very sensitive fingertips, and I remember actually when I was learning to play the guitar back in my teens, that my fingers were very sore from that guitar wire. So that's just something to consider. So thank you so much for tuning in to my little review of the jig. I will keep you updated with my jig adventures. I'm still so happy that I have this tool in my collection, and I plan on having a lot more wire in my projects from now on. Have a good day, everybody, and I'll see you in my next video.